The water lay still, its surface like darkened glass, reflecting the dim light of a setting Scottish sun. Loch Ness stretched out like a somber spectre, surrounded by rolling hills blanketed in mist. The air was heavy with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional call of a bird or the whisper of wind through the reeds. To the untrained eye, it was a place of tranquil beauty. But to those who lived nearby, the loch held secrets as ancient as the earth itself. Claire McTavish knew those secrets well, or at least she thought she did. Growing up in the village of Drumnadrochit, she had heard the tales 1,000 times. Her grandmother would tell her stories by the fire, the flickering flames casting shadows on the walls as she spoke of a great beast that lurked beneath the surface. A creature older than humanity, some said. Claire, now a marine biologist, had always dismissed the stories as folklore, tales spun to entertain children and tourists alike. Yet, there was something about the loch that unsettled her, something she couldn't quite explain. Her career had taken her far from the highlands, but when a call came from an old university colleague about an expedition to study the loch's unique ecosystem, she couldn't resist. It wasn't just the chance to work in her homeland again, it was the opportunity to apply science to a place so steeped in myth. The team was small but well-equipped. Dr. Andrew Fennell, a cryptozoologist with a penchant for the dramatic, tech wizard Ravi Patel, and Lucy Green, a journalist documenting the expedition for an international magazine. From the moment they arrived, the loch seemed to watch them. Claire felt it in the way the mist curled around their boat like grasping fingers, in the way the water's surface would ripple without warning, as if something massive had stirred beneath. The first few days passed uneventfully. They took water samples, studied fish populations, and mapped the loch's depths with sonar. The equipment showed nothing unusual, just an expanse of cold, dark water teeming with life but devoid of any evidence of a creature of legend. Yet, unease gnawed at Claire. One night, as she sat alone by the shore, reviewing data on her tablet, she heard it, a low, mournful sound, almost like a whale song but deeper, more resonant. She froze, her heart pounding as the sound echoed across the loch, fading into the mist. She told herself it was nothing, perhaps just the wind or a trick of the landscape, but she couldn't shake the feeling that it was something more. The following morning, Andrew was buzzing with excitement. The sonar picked up something last night, he announced, spreading out a series of printouts on the table. Look at this. The images showed a large, elongated shape moving through the water, far below the surface. It was blurry and indistinct, but its size was undeniable. Claire frowned, skepticism warring with the flicker of curiosity ignited by the strange sound she'd heard. It could be a school of fish, she suggested. Andrew shook his head. Not at that depth, and not moving like this. Whatever it is, it's big. Ravi chimed in, his voice tinged with both caution and excitement. I've been analyzing the sonar data. There's a pattern to its movements. It's not random. It's almost as if it's avoiding us. Lucy, who had been quietly observing, leaned forward. If there's even a chance that it's real, we need to document it. This could be the story of the century. Against her better judgment, Claire agreed to extend the expedition. That night, they ventured onto the water with their boat equipped with every sensor and camera they had. The loch was eerily calm, the water smooth as black glass. The air was thick with anticipation, each creak of the boat and splash of the oars setting their nerves on edge. Hours passed without incident. Then, just as Claire was beginning to think it had all been a wild goose chase, the boat shuddered. A deep vibration resonated through the hull, followed by a series of splashes as something massive broke the surface in the distance. They all turned, their breath catching as they saw it. A long, sinuous neck rising from the water, crowned with a head that seemed almost serpentine. The creature's eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, intelligent and ancient, as if it were looking directly at them. Claire's mind raced. It couldn't be real, and yet it was. She scrambled for her camera, her hands shaking as she tried to capture the moment. The creature lingered for a heartbeat, then sank beneath the surface with a graceful movement that left only ripples in its wake. The boat erupted into chaos. Andrew was practically shouting, his voice a mix of elation and disbelief. Lucy was already dictating notes into her recorder. while Ravi frantically checked the sensors to ensure they had captured as much data as possible. Claire, however, was silent, her gaze fixed on the spot where the creature had disappeared. She couldn't shake the feeling that it had revealed itself deliberately, as if to send a message. Over the next few days, they reviewed the footage and data obsessively. The images were grainy but undeniable, showing a creature unlike anything known to science. Andrew speculated about its origins, weaving theories that ranged from prehistoric survival to cryptic species evading detection. Claire, however, was more concerned with the implications. If such a creature existed, what did it mean for the ecosystem? For humanity's understanding of its own history? As word of their findings leaked, the village of Drumnadrochit became a frenzy of activity. Tourists and reporters flocked to the loch, eager for a glimpse of the legendary creature. Claire watched with growing unease as the quiet beauty of the place was overrun by cameras and boats. She felt a strange protectiveness toward the creature, a sense that it didn't belong in the spotlight of human curiosity. One evening, as the team gathered in the small cottage they had rented, there was a knock at the door. An elderly man stood on the threshold, his weathered face lined with the marks of a life spent in the highlands. He introduced himself as Ewan MacLeod and claimed to have information about the creature. "The beast ye saw," he said, his voice low and gravelly, "it's nae just a creature. It's a guardian." Ewan's story was unlike anything they had heard. He spoke of an ancient pact, a time when the people of the highlands lived in harmony with the land and water. The creature, he claimed, was not just a relic of the past but a sentinel, protecting the loch and its secrets. "When the balance is disturbed," he warned, "the guardian rises. It's nae a warning to be ignored." Claire felt a chill run down her spine. The idea seemed preposterous, yet it resonated with something deep within her. She had always believed in science, in facts and evidence, but the events of the past weeks had shaken her convictions. Could there be truths that lay beyond the reach of her instruments and theories? As the days passed, the activity around the loch only grew. Boats crisscrossed the water, their engines churning up waves that disrupted the ecosystem. Claire watched in dismay as the delicate balance of the loch was upset, the once pristine waters now clouded with silt and debris. The creature remained hidden, but its presence was felt in the tension that seemed to hang over the loch like a storm cloud. One night, unable to sleep, Claire found herself drawn to the shore. The moon cast a pale light over the water, and the air was filled with the sounds of the highlands. She stood there for what felt like hours, her mind racing with questions. Then, without warning, the water began to ripple. Slowly, the creature emerged, its form illuminated by the moonlight. This time, Claire didn't reach for her camera. She stood frozen as the creature's eyes met hers, filled with an intelligence and emotion that took her breath away. It felt like an eternity passed in that moment, an unspoken connection forming between them. Then, as silently as it had appeared, the creature slipped back into the depths, leaving Claire alone with her thoughts. The following morning, she made a decision. Gathering the team, she explained her concerns about the impact of their presence on the loch and its guardian. To her surprise, Andrew and Ravi agreed. Even Lucy, who had been eager to document every detail, seemed moved by Claire's conviction. They dismantled their equipment and prepared to leave, but not before issuing a statement urging respect and caution. "The loch is more than just a body of water," Claire said in a televised interview. "It's a living, breathing ecosystem, and it's our responsibility to protect it." As they departed, Claire felt a sense of peace. She knew the mystery of the Loch Ness monster would endure, as it should.